Well, I'm going to take a line from one of the guys on here. What's up, all you lovely people, all you handsome people? Welcome to Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. What's good, guys? How you doing? We got Love Wrestling in the house full force tonight, and it's our Christmas show, so why not have the three greatest guys out of the whole trio that I've done a lot of great things with? We've got Parrish, Spenny Love, and a local boy not far from here, my boy Ed. But we got the crew still here running the shots. So what's good, guys? Merry Christmas early, since we are on the brink of Christmas Eve and stuff.
Happy Crimbus. Happy Chrysler.
Love Wrestling's here to change the game, brother.
Hi, Ed. Nice hat.
Depending on which sitcom you're a fan of, it's either Happy Festivus today or Happy Christmas Eve.
So I'm going to say that anybody tonight, if you want to comment on the show, you're more welcome to. Just DM me or Anakin, and we'll go from there, just because of the fact that it's a holiday show. Why not have people run in and take over? I've actually ran in on Love Wrestling once or twice when playing Among Us. So, you know, like I tell these guys, it's an honor anytime doing anything with them, and I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. Two of these guys are actually participating in the tournament, kind of slacking on that, but we're going to do a huge Royal Rumble prediction show and let that go, and it's going to be awesome. But this week's been crazy with wrestling in general. So what out of all you guys looked at, like, were happy about for this week when it came to wrestling in general?
I mean, like, Kyle O'Reilly's all elite. How can you?
I mean, he's vastly overrated, but he is all elite.
Hey,
Well,
it's okay. That's a Canadian boy.
He's a Canadian boy only once. I don't care where he's from. Kyle O'Reilly's a singles competitor is vastly overrated.
I'm just going
Kyle
to
O'Reilly in a
I would
tag
beg
team in
to
a
differ.
faction.
Wow.
I'm actually
skill,
and you're
not his
lucky. I'm
skill.
happy to keep it respectful tonight, Ed.
I'm stuck in the middle, though, because, like, for me, like, I wanted to see Kyle O'Reilly not go back to what he's been doing for the last decade of his career, and that is be associated with Bobby Fish and or Adam Cole, because I think the more I see Kyle O'Reilly on his own, the more I can treat him as his own guy. And then now I'm just always going to look at him as a second fiddle to the Adam Cole, because, like, anytime he's in the same ring, I just think Adam Cole's the star. I don't think Kyle O'Reilly's ever the
It's so
star.
weird. It's so hardly weird they ended the relationship on NXT.
So you go to the website that it shows on Dixper, so
Who's watching
dixper.gg/
I don't know.
I was probably the throwback. Yeah.
No, that was me. I was trying to do the Twitch numbers up the game.
You find
And I
it
went on
funny?
somebody else.
I'm just saying it's so weird what happened like the past half year with NXT with Cole and O'Reilly, then all of a sudden they quickly made up. Like,
Well, but they didn't.
Why would
They
we
didn't.
expect AEW? No, why would we expect AEW to follow NXT booking? You don't have to do anything. Like, you really
the thing
don't.
about
Very good point.
The
That's
thing
true.
about AEW though is they don't ignore canon. Like all of wrestling canon is their canon. I mean, you look at Malachi Black; he's still selling that
That's an individual who's chosen to
that's
continue
a
doing
him
that.
thing.
Not an
That's a
AEW
him
thing.
thing, not an AEW
Sure.
thing.
Sure, but that's not. But that is not
Like, if we're talking about respecting canon, but if we're talking about respecting canon, like Rusev or Miro decided to come in and play video games with Kip Sabian. Like,
By the way, speaking of which,
canon is canon.
If
Canon
we're
is
talking
canon when it's
cannons and
convenient.
Festivus, can we just not go
Great, please.
cannons to the left of us, cannons to the right of us?
Who better than Canyon?
I'm just gonna say
he's
this
better than
much.
Flair in the rig.
So I got a question. Can we pull Pluggo for a little extra couple of minutes from his show? Because Pluggo, you have a lot of explaining to do.
I've got to actually hop over when B2B starts. I'm going to take off for a little bit because I've got to see what they did to blow the budget. They've been teasing it, unfortunately, and it means that I've got to do my administrative duty. So to
they
speak.
tease it every week.
Roughly, well, but the thing is most of those weeks they have gone out of their way to actually do so. So I might have to take off around 8:30 Eastern time because I love you, Pluggo, but I also love my money.
Well, you also got to cover your bases too, right? I mean, And the thing is that I'm grateful for John for doing what he's done. I mean, over the time he's helped out here but what
I'm not. He
guys
spent
have done,
too much. He spent far too much of my money. He's blown the budget far too often for me to be all that excited.
Well, I mean,
you can be thankful for him.
Hey, he still has that freaking Brock contract he signed right before with everything going on. So.
That's exactly it. The guy signed a good deal, and now he thinks he's invincible. At least JPJ came out to Vegas for SummerSlam.
I'm excited because I'm hoping the possibility that the conversation you and me had behind closed doors happens is that with Survivor Series being in Boston this coming year, that the possibility you actually get to go to Boston. That would be awesome, by the way.
I have time for that.
I
have
like
a lot
Boston.
of time for Boston.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
I'd come.
I'll travel to Boston.
We got people saying "Merry Christmas, you filthy animals." Yes, we are gonna have a great one. But for me, like I said, I think what was more telling with O'Reilly being in AEW was that fact that after they lined him up and the Bucks were there, and literally Cole's like torn between his friends and the people he's been around. So it's really interesting to see the dynamic they're going. It's going to be even more interesting to see how things play out going into the new year. Do you see Cole going back to like what the fans were chanting, undisputed, or do you see him still doing the stuff with the Bucks for a while?
I would love to see him form the Universal Era.
Yeah. Universal Era. Pretty good. Because they can't use undisputed.
WWE doesn't own the hand sign, do they?
No.
Oh. I can't believe they owned the Daniel Bryan yes chant. I can't believe they owned that.
That was an amazing, good promo by Hangman. Very well done.
But we saw Kyle and Cole stare down in the ring. So
yeah, that's what I'm going for, Parrish. I'm trying to sneeze, but it's stuck.
So
it hurts.
It's not like they're going to completely ignore that. Like, I definitely would have liked to have seen it go where Cole's really still not cool with Kyle, and then eventually, whenever Roderick Strong's contract is finally up, which I know he just re-signed earlier this year, but then Roderick would be the one to kind of formally. I know he's got at least 2 years on it. Contract, but definitely not have
just have his life choice.
Okay, no. So here's my thing. Why try to fix what wasn't broken? Was there ever a point where the Undisputed Era or the Universal Era or whatever iteration, even Redragon, there has never been a point in time, at least in my opinion, where those guys proverbially overstayed their welcome. So I don't understand this need or this desire or this anything in between for let's rebook all of this. Let's take everybody in a different direction. The Undisputed Era was rad. Let's run it back.
Sure.
Why is that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing to do cool things again?
But why do you have to do it again is my thing. Why can't we just let it be its own entity there and do something completely different in AEW?
Because you can do something equally cool in AEW with the same individuals. We talk about the dream matches. We talk about fantasy booking. First trio I want those guys to wrestle, the Elite. Pretty easy answer. And you know what's going to rock 2 months from now, 3 months from now? The Elite versus the Undisputed Era. Why the hell not cross them
Who's
off?
going to be
Whether people love the match or not, because I certainly loved the match. FTR wrestling the Young Bucks when they first came in. Easy direction to go? Yeah. Why would you not go that way when people want to see it?
So AEW screwed up that tag.
Who would be the third member of the league? Because Omega is not going to be ready by Revolution.
No, but I think they can slow play this until he's back, though.
Okay, yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah. So maybe double or nothing.
But then again, maybe Hangman Adam Page realigns with the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
I could also see that as a possibility, too. I mean, the Young Bucks really look like a clear-cut babyface duo right there.
I mean, here's the thing. You cannot have a full resolution, in my opinion, to Hangman and the Elite without Cody getting involved. At some point, Cody's got to get looped back into this. I know he's not part of the Elite right now, but he was part of it for so long, and it just feels like at some point they need to get Cody to be there to really kind of broker peace between Hangman and
I think Cody's going to
and
turn
Kenny.
heel on Christmas Day, which is the greatest
That would
thing.
be interesting.
Yeah, because there's,
He's got his match against
I mean,
Guevara
there's-
on Christmas Day.
Isn't Cody
Why not?
already a heel?
well,
No,
we
not in the
see this.
traditional sense. Well, there's a lot of
Cody
like
has
the
that-
meta shit you can get into, but in the traditional sense, no, not right now.
Is he not like
Right now,
AEW's
he's
version
not-
of what Cena really was in terms of like, do you
I
like
was
him
just
or hate
about
him?
to say,
He's a
basically
Triple H
doing
of
John
AEW.
Cena thing.
Yeah.
Basically
He's a
doing
Triple
John
H of
Cena thing.
AEW. I'm sorry,
I
he's Triple
think
H.
it's interesting though that you got Cody right there, and he's going back and forth. But I mean, at some point, he's got to break his own rules. And I know people are going to say this because I said the same thing about the title, about the Wicked Crazy title. But one of these days, he's going to end up having to step up and take that, AEW title for a little bit. Just
No, he
if
doesn't.
somebody's in between, they have to do something. But
Why?
just because
Why
of the
does he
fact
have
that
to do it?
because of the
I
fact that
think
it would
personally-
make a
Because
good
it's
story
a
just as a
ready-made-
stopgap.
Personally, I think that's
It's a
what is
ready-made
going to be his
story
heel
for-
turn. I think his heel turn is going to be going for the AEW title when he said he was never going to, and he lost that match.
Yeah.
So
I think his heel
that-
turn
I
is going to
agree.
be going over Sammy Guevara and going on a long run with the TNT title.
I think his heel
But-
turn is he becomes the first guy to beat CM Punk.
There's no way
He's
that
teased
Cody
it long
is
enough
not going-
already.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Turn heel, run with the TNT championship.
yeah,
They've done
I
an
actually
excellent job.
love-
There's no need for him to go after the top title. There's no, because like we say, and I didn't even make the point, AEW respects their canon. So why would Cody Rhodes go back on that?
because
When he can
that-
go for a long run with what he considers and has repeatedly said he considers to be the most prestigious
Well,
championship in wrestling,
it's still
the
the
TNT
EVP?
championship.
is he still the
Sure.
EVP?
I don't know on that end.
And
But would you
and
consider the
that's
TNT
thing.
I mean, if we want to talk about
championship title-
overrated, I'm gonna actually put Cody Rhodes. in that.
Yeah, I agree there.
But would you put the TNT title though, just like the IC title, make it look like the workhorse for AEW title? Because that's the way
Sure.
it seems like it's setting up
Yeah.
right now.
Sure.
But is that a bad thing? Like,
No,
by
it's
the
a
same
great
token,
thing.
there have been points throughout
No.
history where the Intercontinental has been the more valuable
a
quote
workhorse
unquote
title, yeah.
championship.
But
yeah,
it's a-
Cody going on a run with that as a heel, as a dominating heel, why not? Because you know what he
It's
could
a-
do? Okay, Sammy Guevara, he stepped up. I beat him. No, you're not getting a rematch. No, you're not getting a rematch. He's going to go over guys like, in the most respectful way possible, Fuego del Sol over the next couple of months. He's going to easily beat guys on Dark for the next couple of months. I am the most dominant TNT champion of all time. I am the EVP of AEW, whatever it might be.
My thing
You
is,
can
who's
get
the,
a lot of mileage out of that.
my thing
You
is
can.
who's going to be the guy that
I'm the
elevates
EVP,
and beats Cody
TNT.
Rhodes for this title?
That's a good question.
And you could go a lot of
At
ways
some
with it,
point,
and it
doesn't it
depends
have
how
to
long
be
you want to
Jungle
run
Boy?
with them.
At some point, doesn't that guy have to win something of significance?
That's exactly who
That's
I
a
was
good
thinking
show.
too.
The thing
actually.
is, Sammy does
I
have
got
to
no
get
issue with
over
Jungle
Cody
Boy.
Rhodes, and I'm not talking about like an old another guy from WWE like Malachi Black or Andrade. I'm talking about like somebody from AEW, a younger talent, that they homegrown talent or something like that.
What about a hook?
Yeah,
Well,
Send
eventually
Hook.
they're going to end up doing
Yeah.
that.
Oh, there's a
Because
lot of options depending on how long you want to go with it, right? Like
Or
Jungle Boy
Dante
is
Martin.
definitely a great
Dante
option.
Martin would be a really good call too.
Perfect.
Yeah. I just don't see Cody at some point down the line challenging for the world title again, because he'll be fully heel and be like, you know what? I'm an EVP. I took myself out of the running because I chose to, but the fans didn't respect me. They booed me. So why should I care about keeping a promise to them when they don't care about me? And he'll go for the world title. And I do
there's a
think
Also, I just want to say this too.
in the next 5 years, I think Cody will be a former top champion, top world champion.
Also,
I think he'll be back
What
in
I think-
WWE in the next 5 years.
what I think
That's a
his
different story.
career trajectory-
Wow.
What I think his career trajectory is in AEW is to be literally what Triple H was in the 2000s. So he's
the Reign of Terror.
And what I think
The Reign of Terror Rising.
What I've also
That's what he is.
What I've dreamed up for
Excellently done.
Cody right now is that I love actually his iteration, his character right now, because it's the deeply delusional heel that thinks it's that Homelander character. And I don't watch that show that Homelander is from.
I don't either.
Neither do I.
But
Great show. Great show.
it seems
I know it's a good show.
that
I have to see
he's
it.
Is it like
so
Highlander?
engulfed.
No.
He is so engulfed in being the company man that the TNT title reign, should he win from Sammy Guevara, and the spoilers are out there, so do with that what you want. But if he should win against Sammy Guevara, the TNT title run right now should be cementing this Homelander character of his, to then when the big baby face of the company that's so clearly getting cheered
Homelander and
over
big
him.
Highlander. I'm sorry.
Whoever
I just keep hearing Highlander.
It can only be one.
Am I saying Highlander?
No, you're not.
It's my own mental.
Spencer's
Like,
just
I hear
wrong.
Homelander, it keeps going back to Highlander.
Yeah.
Just think of the Showtime show Homeland with what's her face with
That is not gonna make it any better.
Yeah.
Just think
Probably should make it worse.
Dark
So
Side.
when the big baby face of the company,
Homeland with the girl
6,
from
7
My
months down the
So-Called Life.
line,
Whatever her name is.
Oh, you talking about Claire Danes?
Oh, from Romeo and Juliet?
Claire
Thank you.
Danes is going to be
Claire
in Cody
Danes,
Rhodes
yeah.
for the TNT Championship.
I know,
No,
right?
just
Claire
completely
Danes
lost
is the lead in.
You
Homeland
heard it here
on
first.
Showtime.
I know, right?
But like, is
Breaking
it,
news.
is it, getting back to Cody and potentially being a world champion? Like, there are so many people who need a world title run in that company because you've brought over so much talented people that Cody Rhodes is literally barely a big enough star to run with a TNT title in the beyond the next year. Once the next year goes by, I don't think he's a big enough star in that company to hold
doesn't
any
that
title.
though? Ed, doesn't that also serve to my fantasy of him being Triple H from the 2000s?
I wholeheartedly agree. I'm just saying, like, in general, things of like everybody saying, "Oh, Cody needs to turn heel and get the title." I'm like, but don't we want like a world championship to mean something? And to this point, like, what does it mean?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day,
Means you're the best wrestler in the company right now,
sure,
Yeah.
but sure,
which
but
is
at
what
the
a
end of the
world
day,
championship should be, right?
right. But the thing too is that at the end of the day, it's a prop. Like all the titles are
No,
prop.
No, dude.
Hold on. At the end of the day, they're all props to tell stories. The value is in what people within the story hold to be precious. So, and thankfully that's something that that AEW does is their stories say, yes, these titles are important. I don't think necessarily you need to have a whole lot of people being like, oh, they need to be having a world championship run, because the TNT championship, it can be that. It can be that title for the hard workers and stuff. And the AEW championship is for those who are truly going to represent the company. And let's not forget, when AEW first started, Cody was one of the biggest baby faces in all of wrestling. I mean, not when it first started because he was a heel, but once he had that match with Dustin at the first Double or Nothing, he became a huge babyface to where people wanted to see him win the title at Full Gear against Jericho. They were invested in it, and they were invested in Cody as the babyface when he was feuding with MJF. It's only been recently, like really ever since I think he did that one promo against the Go-Go, although people will say, oh, the neck tattoo is what like kind of changed him, but it's really only been in the last year or so that Cody has been more seen of as a heel. And I think it'd be smart for them to lean into that and turn him heel, because that would then get him hot again to the point where then he could be a heel champion.
I mean, ultimately, you're saying title belts are props for the most part and to relieve the story. I think it's more depending on the company's view, because certain title belts, let's say the old school Winged Eagle WWE belt, a lot of people during that era have high prestige to that because every person who held it at some point made it a lot better in certain ways. Like, you go further back in the way that evolution of that belt was all the way up to the current, well, minus the universal title. That WWE/WWF is considered one of the most top, recognized belts for the most part. And for me, growing up and seeing this for so long, I think still that belt, if you mentioned any belt in wrestling and you say pick a title belt and any title belt from any company, what's the first belt that comes to mind? For me, it's the Winged Eagle from WWF back then, before they started modifying all the rest of the belts and stuff. So if that wasn't prestigious, and how like Hogan, Warrior, Brett, to lean on what Paris was talking about a little while back before we started and stuff like that, the list goes on and on. And before that, you had like Bruno Sammartino holding the belt and Bob Backlund for that WWF belt and stuff like that. The names are endless. And to me, these people who put their bodies on the line, and work their tails off to do something, it makes more sense that they see it as something that's not a prop. It's something to, carry themselves. Like Spencer said, you're crowning the person who's the best person for the job to lead your company at that point. I mean, Bruno had the belt for so long, and look at how many people like Punk, who in the modern era had 400 days with the WWF title belt and stuff like that. It makes a huge impact overall.
Sure, but by saying that it gets a prop, I guess I'm like mainly referring to the fact that it is booked. It is determined who's going to win. So that separates it from something like the Stanley Cup or winning the Super Bowl, where it's not
Super Bowl's a prop too.
And that's Brady's evolved. So if
Super Bowl's a prop, can't convince me otherwise.
And that's and that's very true. I mean, the Stanley Cup is just a giant, huge cup that hockey teams go for, but it means something, and that's the thing. Yeah. So it can be a prop and still mean something, and still have a value. And that's what AEW does, is they have all of their championships mean something. They all have value. People want to go for a title, whether it's the tag titles or the TNT title or the women's title or the CBS title or the world title. They want to go for a title because being a champion in that company has value, as opposed to in a WWE where the IC title has been held by the same guy for like 5 or 6 months and been defended twice, and not since October.
Eventually, my feeling is they're gonna put the belt back on Miz and make it more, relevant for the most part. As much as people are cringe about it, but still, they want to make that prevalent. And
they also have to get Jericho's name off the top of the title reigns list.
Yeah,
they don't have to, but they're going to.
They will do that. Miz will win it at least one more time,
so
that they can
and
say
he only needs 1 month to be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time in terms of days. I think he's less than a month away.
Okay,
then the only thing he has to do is oh wait, never mind. I was going to say the only thing left he'd have to do is win New Japan's version, but that doesn't exist anymore because they were dumb and they merged it.
I'm going to say this because me and Ed can agree with this, being from New England and stuff like that. That World Series trophy in 2004 was not a prop. If your family grew up generation
after generation. It was in 91, 92 and Canada kicked your guys' ass and won it. Yeah.
92, 93, you mean?
No, I'm talking about
gold jacket, green jacket.
I'm talking about the 2004 Red Sox, but I'm saying like for everybody who's like literally since like 1918 for around there. Literally every person's family member who never got to see them win a championship, that '04 World Series, it literally like shedded everything. Like everybody was going to grave sites and putting Red Sox paraphernalia on there. There were people literally putting drinks in there on the grave, sitting there.
Sure, but that's
about
for the
game.
win, not for the actual trophy.
No, it's for like it's for the.
No, it's what the winning of the trophy means.
Yes, it's the winning,
fans and other.
Yeah,
and that's the difference between like a pro sport and wrestling, because wrestling's always going to be considered scripted, no matter what people would say. Because there's like. I mean, everyone's always going to have their perception of what wrestling is.
Look at 2019, the Canadians in the chat.
And because wrestling is considered a show, anything on there is considered a prop.
Look at 2019. Look at 2019. The Canadians in the chat will know this. 2019, the Toronto Raptors won a championship. Yes, it's Toronto, but the whole country celebrated it. That's how much that meant to the.
I wanted them to lose, by the way. I hate the Raptors.
That's how much it meant to the country.
It's the same
and the Blue Jays are like that too.
It's the same thing, like for the. It's the same thing for the Olympics, like the gold medals, the silver medal, and stuff. Those are those are props, but they're props that represent you're the best in the world. And and winning a gold medal, it is a prop, but it still means something to win it, because that gold medal is a symbol of your accomplishment. Winning the championship is the accomplishment, not having the actual trophy. It's the fact that you worked for it and you earned it. It's a subtle difference, but prop in and of itself, I don't think necessarily has a negative connotation to it. It's just a matter of what does that prop stand for.
So basically, what you're saying is, and Spencer said it will be back, but the thing is that what I'm taking is that you just see it as something like a trophy, like for a pro sport, is somebody earns. Whereas even though it's scripted, somebody who works their tail off to get a high-end championship like the AEW, the WWE, and so on and so forth, it's not, considering they already know it's a possibility. For me, there's certain people out there that has a work ethic that literally will go and work their tail off to reach a goal. And eventually, if that's for like a title belt in wrestling, even though, Vince will say, oh, well, this person gets it over this, I still think that there's certain people that will work their tail off constantly in order to get to that point.
See, like I attended a seminar by Jim Ross a couple years back in Cauliflower Alley, and he actually referred to a wrestling championship as a prop too, and it had a mixed reaction from everyone there. And he explained this. He's like, look, the difference between a wrestling championship and a trophy in other sports is simple. Pro wrestling is a scripted form of entertainment that involves a legitimate work ethic with a legitimate lifestyle that everyone has to endure. But the general perception of people is they see only what they see on a show. And for that, anything on a show is considered a prop. Whereas in if you want to go to a sport like hockey, basketball, football, I mean, a trophy is an achievement because it is something that is not designed for somebody else to win. They win it on their own merit. Whereas a championship in wrestling, it's picked who's going to win. Now, with that being an agreement or not, I mean, it is correct. But with that being said, there's a lot to go into and a lot of X factors to go into a championship in pro wrestling, especially like the WWE, WWF championship, because you have to make sure that, you're what the company is looking for. So it's kind of that area of gray, whether or not you want to consider it a prop and whether it's not. We all kind of perceive this as something more important than a prop, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, a championship does signify in pro wrestling that you are one of the best, if not the best. I look at more as King of the Ring and that crown and that scepter and that robe, more of a prop in terms of the storylines going in pro wrestling because it's more seasonal, whereas a championship is year-round.
Well, I mean, I'll take what you say because you are the belt collector. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, the wrestlers will tell you. They'll tell
Excuse me.
Like Chris said here, wrestlers will tell you, becoming a champion means they have faith in you.
And also, like, too, back in the old days, if you were a champion, you actually did get more money.
Yeah,
and you got more work ethic as well. You got a higher praise. It's like it's
You
like
also
getting
had to-
getting a different colored card when you got like a credit card. You're like, oh, you're platinum, you're a gold member, you get all this stuff while everyone else
Because
doesn't.
you're drawing stuff, and so you can get rewarded.
So like,
But you also had to put down a $25,000 deposit when you won the championship, which was something that Ric Flair held because he was the NWA champion, and then when they switched over to using the big gold belt, he was still the champion, and he never got his $25,000 back. That's why when he went over to the WWF, he started doing promos with it because he told WCW, "Hey, I'm not giving this back until I get my money back." So,
That's also not going to constitute normal with Ric Flair in any sense of the argument.
Yeah, no.
I think we can all agree on that end.
Yeah.
But that was a normal. But that was a normal thing for champions at that time. They did actually have to put down deposit, because this was. There was
a little bit more back then, because now if you were, it's going back to the Rhea Ripley story. If you lost your championship, WWE is like, oh, okay, well, here's a replica. You can use this. But back then they only had one, maybe two at the time. So it wasn't so much you put money down. It was more, if we're going to allow you to hold on to the championship, which wrestlers had the option to do, then you had to put, it's like anything else. It's like you had to give them something in terms of, in case anything happened to you. It was just an insurance policy back then, because that was normally the cost of how much it cost to make the title itself.
Never forget the time Brock Lesnar went on TV with a replica Universal title, and everybody went, "That's a replica title. That is not the real thing."
Well, yeah.
I think the thing is,
I think it's to do a live event. I think a live event is the replica titles too. Not the actual title.
It depends on the champion.
Like what Parrish was just saying.
To me, titles went down the hill when they put Velcro on them, by the way. Like
in pro wrestling, a company is entrusting you and putting their faith in you to put a championship on you. Yes, you've gone and put the work in to I'm going to talk while I'm walking, but trust me, you'll hear me.
You can talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yeah, their company has put their faith in you as a person in a scripted environment to carry the top championship. Whereas in sports, obviously, the joke is that everything is scripted, but that's not really the case, as we know. So when you win something like the Stanley Cup, or you win something like the World Series trophy, you're not being scripted to do that. You are the best person of whatever sport that is. And
unless
this whole talk,
unless you're the
Astros.
Thank you.
Unless you're that referee who cheated the Spurs game like in the mid 2000s. Tom, what's his name? Tim Donahue or something like that.
Yeah, Tim Donahue.
Yeah, him. That's that guy.
I agree with what Parrish is saying, but I also agree why Anakin is saying what he's saying about it being a prop. And speaking of props,
by the way, I'm saying it is a prop. Yeah, that is a gigantic prop.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to be an asshole and carry this, but I still like looking at it from time to time. Even though,
thank you, Parrish. Thank you.
But
I wasn't going to.
I'll just say it. As sports fans, we all agree as sports fans, even though sports is not rigged, we all see what happens to our teams. We always say, yeah, bullshit. We always complain this is BS.
Yeah,
this is
right.
rigged.
The rest made sure that the Patriots won when they decided they wanted the Rams to go over on us, the Saints.
Yeah. So we all say sports
because we all know Tom Brady's not that good against RD, and in the last 2 years we've proved it.
Somebody's salty.
Not salty. It's just like it was casual. Like it's honest. Like it's right out there. It's black and white.
It's okay, Parrish. Keep crying. It's all right. We'll just keep looking at our beautiful gold championship.
Let's just say this much.
Robbed its fans from having Brady against Breeze in the Super Bowl, which we all know would have made the NFL a lot more money than what Oh,
I
we're
don't
gonna have
care
Jared
about money. I
Goff
don't
in
care
there.
how much money they make.
Yeah,
I have no interest in how much
Jared
money
Goff
they
is
make.
the savior
I'm
to
not getting any
NFL.
of that money. I don't care. That's why,
Wins and
like,
championships. That's all I give a shit about.
You guys held the tights and you know it. Come on.
All I gotta say is, and I know I'm gonna
A
get in
win's a
trouble, but
win.
Ed will agreed with this. Hold on. All I gotta do is just put this, and you guys could talk for a couple of seconds.
what are you
You know.
doing?
I haven't had this
Oh.
shoulder in a while.
But then
So,
again,
yeah,
we also have
that's-
Boston in the
Look at all those
background. I'm
wonderful-
pretty sure in 1990 we all know who beat Boston back then. So.
Go ahead, soak that in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how many like Super Bowl titles have you guys had? Actually, how about this? And Ed could probably agree to this too. How many championships have where you guys have won recently?
If you want to
Over
go
in
back to
this in
this,
this
do you
century.
know that no hockey team has won more cups than the Edmonton Oilers since the Oilers have been in the league?
Have you noticed that?
At me at that one.
And when was the
There we
last
go.
one of those?
Doesn't matter.
When
It's
was the
just
last one of
Canada.
those?
Canada hasn't had a Stanley Cup win since '93.
Yeah, but it
It's,
takes Canadians to win a cup every year.
That's
When
true,
was the
too.
last time
Well,
the
yeah,
Blue
but
Jays
she's
won
Brazil.
the World Series?
Yeah. When we all know
93.
and Marchand, come on. Man,
No, he's American.
he's a KFC. His finger licking good.
God.
Can we get onto some other topic other than
Yeah.
Parrish and sports?
Well, I mean,
I mean,
Well,
Blue
I
Jays
mean,
do
right,
have the-
it just
Blue
makes
Jays
it
do
look
have the
silly.
best. The Blue Jays do have the best hitter in baseball. Like,
Blue Jays suck.
I mean, hey, you're going to see Brady and Belichick in the Super Bowl. Watch, that's what everybody wants.
Hey, I'm just waiting till the argument is who's actually better, Belichick as a coach or Brady as a quarterback? Because I think that is a legit thing that needs to be talked about.
Well, we could do it here. Besides, talk
No,
wrestling,
I think we
is
should
our
talk about
Christmas
wrestling
both,
here.
can both be good? Be true?
They sure, but I mean, as fans, don't you want to actually like
I know.
forget about what's good and talk about shit that don't matter?
It's the same thing, though. What I was going to lead towards between Belichick and Brady is the same thing you could do with when you're talking about Hunter and Vince. Like, if you had to look at both of the products on the mainstay, I mean, what would you think would be better?
Well, it doesn't matter. You got to look at like the longevity, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people forget about Vince McMahon is that his longevity matters. Like, yeah, we can say when he's 70 years old, he's out of touch with what's cool, but what 70-year-old nowadays isn't out of touch of modern day society. Like, I'll be the first one to say WWE right now and the product they put out is very, very over the top and overproduced. But with that being said, they still have some of the best professional wrestlers there, and they have some of the best entertainers. And they are an entertainment company over a wrestling company, and people forget that when they tune in the program. You look at AEW, they're definitely more wrestling based than entertainment, and that shows in their product. So
I think for me, though, because if you had to compare Vince and Hunter, who's the better one at it, obviously I'm going to pick Hunter over Vince.
Vince.
my thing is Vince knows how to make $1 billion in pro
I was going to
wrestling,
say,
and Hunter
Vince
has
is
not.
going to make Hunter, like it or hate it, what WWE does. You know what WWE's done? Gotten the Saudi deal, which makes them a ton of money. Good or bad for what the ethical thing is. Made them a crap ton of money. He sold the WWE network rights to CBS for $250 million.
Not CBS.
NBC.
Universal. Sorry, I do apologize. NBC Universal for a crap ton of money for the next 5 years. He got Fox to pay, was it $2.5 billion for 5 years for SmackDown to put SmackDown back on network television and still get over $2 million every week.
Out of touch.
You also got a good chunk with USA as well, so I mean, you can.
Yeah.
And
This is
that's
why I
selling
agree.
that's selling is nostalgia too, because that's also the thing too. You put that much time in your product, over time, people are going to look at your product and be like, okay, well, we've looked at what you've done, and you're selling what you've done, and you're really then putting the exclamation point of what you say you can do. That's where the sell comes in, because no company is going to say, okay, I'm going to buy everything of what you did in 20 years. They want to take that 20 years and say, okay, we know what you can do, but in the next 15, what are you going to do? And that's where the selling comes in. And nobody's a better seller in professional wrestling than Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yeah.
Well, that's true considering he took it over from his dad and made it
He
like
made it
into a
mainstream.
global promotion. But I'm saying, like, if you had to create a wrestling promotion just from bare bones, I mean, look at Hunter, what Hunter did with NXT.
But what Vince McMahon are we using? Because I will take the Vince McMahon that bankrupt WCW over anybody else.
That's true, but
And
still, if
you cannot say, I'm sorry, but
I'm being
he
selfish,
did
I'm trying to
did not
support the
do
local boy,
NXT.
man.
He did not do NXT from bare bones because NXT was directly born out of FCW. I mean, to the point where literally
And FCW
1 week was
was-
FCW and next week it
Also,
was
without
2 years
Vince's pocket, NXT still didn't have the
Yeah.
platform to become what they were.
I mean,
Yeah.
the first 2 years of NXT, what was it? Game show, basically, an obstacle course and stuff like that. Like,
right, but I'm talking about when they did the relaunch and
Yeah.
that became the new developmental, which honestly was real bad. Like, I don't know what is worse, that in like 2012 or NXT 2.0 now, because that'd be a toss up. That'd be a toss up for me. But he was able to work on it and grow it and make it into, at one point, the hottest wrestling in North America.
Now, I kind of want to put out something because Throwback, you said something that I really, really think is a very fair thing. We look at WWE and we look at what they used to be and what we can see somewhere else, and that is a pure wrestling product inside the squared circle. And we all know that we don't watch the best technical wrestling on Monday nights or Friday nights. I mean, I think that's a very safe thing.
yeah,
We can see glimpses of that at best.
they save it for the
I
pay-per-view.
watch Rampage on Friday night, so I do see it.
No, but okay, well,
Well,
But
I mean,
that's the greatest wrestling on Friday.
I know,
just
I'm
because you put up a turd doesn't mean somebody else can't put up a bigger one. I will, but beyond the point, WWE has clearly stayed away from the in-ring product because if they really wanted to, I mean, they could put Chad Gable against Finn Balor for an hour, and I guarantee you it will be just as good as Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page. But the thing is that's not what they want to do. That's not the niche market that they attend to, because the biggest niche market is not pro wrestling fans like we are. I will almost go around the board and say we will gladly watch Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit for 60 minutes over John Cena versus Batista.
Yes.
I will say I wouldn't, only because it's Benoit, and I haven't watched
Fine.
Benoit.
I will go around the thing saying we will watch Bret Hart versus Owen Hart for
I agree with
60
you.
Okay,
minutes.
there you go.
Like,
there you go.
But like, you know what I mean. It is
Yeah.
pure wrestling at its
W-
finest.
WWE
It is. It's the
WWE
in-ring product, and that's a difference right now. Vince McMahon, when he had this global vision of, it's because he saw something what pro wrestling can become. When Tony Khan looks at it, he looks at what pro wrestling is missing, and that is, the fact that there is a large hardcore market that wants it, and that is why I think it's more comparable to compare Tony Khan with Paul Heyman than it is with Vince McMahon.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you about the technical wrestling stuff with WWE. Yeah, Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, we don't get the technical wrestling. They save that kind of stuff for a big special kind of match or pay-per-view matches. They save the spectacles for the big time when they need to. AEW tends to do it almost every single Dynamite, Rampage, or your pay-per-views. WWE does it for the big stage.
And I would argue that's why the AEW product is more must-watch, because now it's like, oh, I can't, miss an episode of Dynamite. I have, I need to see it because they're going to give me this. And that's why so many people, they don't watch Raw. They don't watch SmackDown. They'll tune in for the pay-per-views, or maybe if there's like a really big show, like the Madison Square Garden show that they did for SmackDown on September 10th. Like they'll do that. But the weekly shows, I mean, if you watch the Fightful Raw post show, so many people are sending in super chats and stuff saying, "Hey, thanks for watching the show, so I don't have to," and they'll only really watch for the pay-per-views.
But like, I'm gonna counter that by saying like the loudest wrestling fans are the hardcores, and the fans that you don't hear just casually watch it. And there's a lot of casual people that watch WWE because they want to see the hokey stuff, which like, you know, like you and I, as like hardcore wrestling fans, we don't care for that. We want to see more in ring. We want to see that sort, like we want to see more Austin versus Vince storylines than we want to see Katie, Vic, Triple H, and Kane storylines, which now WWE is doing more of a PG watered down version of that.
See, I would
no, because you argue and you say that AEW is can't miss and everything else, and that's great. But guess what? The numbers don't support the fact
because they don't get the casuals. They don't get
exactly.
the casuals. It'll never grow. It won't grow if they don't get the casuals.
Yeah. But are the casuals really wanting what WWE is offering?
Not really.
They're still watching 1.5 to 2.5 million people every week on what you consider to be crappy wrestling. Like,
okay. But
argue what you want. The numbers don't lie.
But what's the demo of that? And that is the big thing. The demo for Monday.
I feel that's a Ty Dillinger thing I got to do right now.
The demo for Monday Night Raw is the lowest that it's ever been. And
they're still getting billion-dollar deals.
It doesn't matter what the demo is. Overall, it's about overall numbers. It's about overall numbers.
But when USA and Fox are looking at ratings, they're looking at the demo specifically. That's the people that are buying the product.
Let's be real about
that.
Those are the people that
I'm out.
Those are the people that are buying the product, buy the advertisements. Advertisers want that demo. People in their 50s and 60s by that point are pretty much set in what they're going to buy, and so advertisers are going, we're not going to target them unless it's for specific like senior down products.
I'm going to say this much, and I've said this before because the question I'll have around is because I know Drew. Probably it was part watching it. The Q calls, the quarterly calls, when Vince and all of them said that, you know, they don't care about the ratings and stuff like that, that sleep is, you know, their enemy and stuff. I mean, come on, man. That was kind of like a hokey thing to say. I mean, it was an eye opener right there. If you don't care about your demographic, then why do you think people are just stopping? I'll agree with Ed though. The ratings that they're getting for poor product is amazing, and it's just, you know, it's interesting to see how things are. Like, shouldn't you give us something better like what AEW is doing, and then you get people talking like they tell you in marketing at the high school I went to? Word of mouth is the greatest advertising you'll ever have in your life. If you tell one person how great something is, one turns into two turns into four, and so on and so forth, and it spreads like wildfire.
And that's why pyramid schemes work well if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this: when WWE was battling WCW, WWE was always the better product in WCW, like in terms of popularity, more well known. When the NWO came, that's when the casuals got more interesting again. When the NWO came, because everybody was into the NWO. AEW needs something to spark that to get the casuals into AEW.
The other thing that hurts AEW is the fact that we now live in a world with DVR.
Yeah.
We live in a world where we don't have to choose to be there on the given night. We can watch it whenever we want. We don't have to be in front of our television.
Sure.
And in Blindside, that's helped Monday Night Raw so much.
Agreed.
All right.
Yeah.
Get a word in.
Ratings have gone down significantly in the last 3 years, and DVR has been a thing. You know, TiVo was a thing back when I was in college in 2007.
Yeah, but
all right, let's get Drew a word in because he's been trying to get one in.
Yeah. All right, I apologize.
It's okay. I know we're all fired up. That's a good thing. I'm happy about that. What I want to say is that this topic is very agreeable and disagreeable with so many people, because the thing is that, and it's funny, I went and got this prop and I didn't do it for this purpose, but the reason why AEW's ratings are the way that they are and WWE's ratings are the way that they are is because of this. This W. This W is so symbolic to what wrestling is to a lot of people, millions of people. And because
oh boy, here goes Anakin getting something.
Oh yeah.
The ratings show that the demographics trend towards older people is because older people generally tend to stick with what they know. And
Hey,
they
look
know,
at me, 34. I started watching WWE when I was 4. I'm 40.
Well, and like
The
the
reason-
tailgate that is on Drew, because I really agree with you on that, because you talk about mixed martial arts or like fighting, and people quickly say, "Oh, UFC," and they quickly say UFC is MMA, when it's really just a company that does MMA. It's the same thing with wrestling, and people will say WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I can listen on the radio, and it's literally in Canada. AEW is on TSN in Canada. I listen to a radio company that's actually owned by TSN, and they still say, oh, when they talk about NASCAR or racing, it's like WWE antics. They don't say like pro wrestling. They say WWE
Right.
because it's
And
more
TSN
globally
doesn't
recognized.
even advertise it. TSN barely advertises AEW at all.
That's
They
true.
don't even-
But just going back to Drew's point, it's just because of the name recognition. It matters in today's world because you always want to go back to, like, if you go on Twitter or Instagram, you're going to always go through your feed, right? But you're always going to stop and pay attention to the ones you follow. Why? Name recognition. And that's kind of the same thing. You always stop and give that more attention because you're aware of it. And that's this thing that AEW is still so fresh in everybody's mind. It's only, 3, maybe 4 years old. But because of that, they have not earned their stripes on the name recognition as much as WWE. So, Drew, I really like that point you made with the W on there, because it's a very true fact. Because that logo, even through the history, has altered. But if you're an older fan, you know the history. If you're a new fan, you know the meaning. And that's what it really matters.
And it's the same thing with athletes too. I mean, Parrish has his own brand with all the promotions he does on Facebook with Love Wrestling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The match he sent me was, and I even told you this, it was amazing. And the thing is that his name on Love Wrestling and all the wrestling he does in branching out, it'll spread wildfire. Like I said, that W is synonymous because it took one person to talk about a whole show they saw, and it spread like wildfire. And look at what WWE is. It's the same way with everything else. You need at least one spark in order to spread everything else. Look at Love Wrestling. Look at Fightful. Look at here. It takes one person to tell, hey, you need to go see Wicked Crazy Pinfalls, and then it turns to 4, 5, 6, but and then eventually you get up there and it's the same thing. It's brand recognition mainly.
Right.
Athletes have it, companies have it, and stuff like that.
And
we can talk.
Doesn't
We
help.
can
with
talk
Canada. Like,
We can talk about boxing's biggest draw, Jake Paul.
Oh yeah,
which is the dumbest thing to think about, but he really is, because of all this, all the same thing. And it's really, all you have to do is market yourself properly to take something over nowadays. That's really all it is, because people latch on like leaves. They will just, they don't want to be their own tree, but they definitely want to be a part of the branch. Hi, Anakin.
Oh, you got something to eat.
What did I walk into? I just heard tree branch, and I'm like, are we talking about Bryan Danielson eating up?
As Chris knows, TSN in Canada shows AEW. They don't even advertise it where Sportsnet does WWE. Sportsnet will advertise WWE. TSN doesn't even advertise AEW, and it's on their program, on their show.
Okay, but Aaron, we can bothly admit that Canadian TV is the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I will
It's the same thing when Ring of Honor was being aired on Nessun, and people would be like, flip through, and if you weren't a wrestling fan, you wouldn't even know what was
advertising of Honor.
What was that?
Did you say Nessun, like New England Sports Network? Is that what it stands for?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fox didn't even advertise ROH.
And Nessun's owned by the Red Sox, basically.
Yeah. It's basically their version of like the Yankees thing, right?
Networks do a bad job of promoting wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Canada does a bad job of promoting wrestling.
Other than Fox and USA and BT Sport, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's also the one of the things too. The WWE Network, as much as we like, people want to like maybe revolt around WWE because it's not the cool thing anymore in pro wrestling. But that WWE Network was one of those things where if you hated the current product, you got that and you fell in love back with what they did, and because of that, they actually probably gained a lot more old fans and new fans because of what they used to do and a lot than anything else. I think the move to Peacock actually screwed them up a lot more than
it has.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not even a guy that gets Peacock, and I still have the network, and I'll even admit, like, as soon as I turned as a performer, I don't watch more wrestling anymore for the joy of it. I watch more to study. But my God, like, the WWE Network, whether it's, their documentaries or the Table for Threes, like all the stuff they do that's not wrestling, it's really cool, and they give you a good behind the scenes. Nowadays, the common people might just watch those dark side of the rings and think they know more about the business, which is a wrong thing to think of.
Yeah.
Because, look at the trouble that, I brought just with the Plane Ride from Hell episode, which, by the way, if people are watching, go watch the Brian Pillman one. That was really good.
Yeah.
But the move to Peacock really did a lot of damage, because from the start, Peacock has had issues. People had problems getting WrestleMania to be working and streaming properly. There was that time where, for some reason, people were getting the Spanish feed of the pay-per-view instead of like the regular English feed. For the longest time you couldn't pause or rewind. I think you still can't rewind on live stuff on Peacock.
You can now.
Okay, but that that was a built-in thing in the WWE Network, and Peacock, it took them so long to do. Not to mention trying to navigate and find something. WWE Network had it done really well, where there was TV, so you have Raw and SmackDown and NXT, and then it's like, okay, by year, and then it starts at the end of that year, and then you just go up. And for pay-per-views, it was either by name or by year, and it was and if you did it by name, then you could scroll through them for each year. Nowadays, if you go to Peacock and you're like, I want to watch Royal Rumble 2006, you have to basically kind of do a search for it. There's no really easy way to navigate to it. And there's been, I've heard so many people who have had more experience with Peacock than I have, because I've barely used the thing ever since the move over there. But so many people have said there's all these things that we had in the WWE Network that we don't get on Peacock, or there's so many ways in which it's just more difficult to find stuff on Peacock than it ever was on the WWE Network. And I know they got money for it, which good for them. But as somebody who has no stock in WWE, I don't care how much money they get. What I care about is my experience with it. And if they want to continue to license out the rights, I would seriously be looking at something like a fight once the deal with Peacock was up, because it's never going to happen. Bad. Probably not, but they should look into it.
The thing for me though is that, sorry.
Because I know these headphones. I know my voice probably doesn't sound as good because I'm using these fucking headphones and I hate them.
No, they're fine. It's just I was trying to make a point quick that here, I don't even use Peacock. It's like I used it when the move happened because I was watching some of the pay-per-views and stuff, and now it's like, because I don't know how it is for Ed, because you have Comcast, right? Yeah, I don't know how it is to use a mobile app and stuff like that. I can do Comcast anywhere, but the problem is Peacock, if you have Comcast, you can't link it properly to it because of the fact that, it's part of your cable bill. It's like you go through the app store and go through there.
Yeah, mine link's fine. You should just be able to have to use your. You just have to use your logins for your Comcast account.
Yeah, I've tried. It doesn't want to go. So, but still, it's still one of those things. It's like it's sitting there. I can use it, but do I choose to? Because I could use Hulu, which is paid through my phone, and I could watch all the wrestling I want. But the only difference is I can't watch pay-per-views. So, and all the other stuff. So, like, it's kind of like a give and take.
What were you gonna say, Drew?
The thing about Peacock is that the unfortunate thing is now, like what Anakin and what Throwback is saying, is that WWE doesn't care if you find Peacock to be annoying to watch, because they've gotten their $1 billion from it. And not only that, they're going to continue to, because of the vicious cycle of American wrestling right now, is people who want entertainment, people willing to pay for entertainment, and the entertainment company. And that is the cycle with with this logo in the middle of that circle. Okay? Yeah. Because like we were saying, people are going to go to what they know. People are going to use the products that they know to watch what they know. And as a result, Vince McMahon is going to make bank every single time.
Yeah, I mean, we already know from the Saudi deals, he doesn't care where the money's coming from. If you've got a ton of money, if you've got a bank that you're willing to back up down the trucks into to pay him, he will take the money and it doesn't care. I mean, that's why they're still partnering with Susan G. Komen, which is a terrible charity. It's horrible, but there's that name value and that sponsorship money, and that's all they care about, Whereas AEW, they had those one shirts for a breast cancer awareness month, and originally they were partnered with Susan G. Komen, and then people said, "Hey, that's not a good charity," and they quickly, within like a day or two, canceled that and changed it to an actually good charity.
For CM Punk calling him out on it.
Well, he was one of just many, but I mean there was multiple people backstage who were going
kind of just to tie in the continuity between like the casual hardcore fans and like all this stuff. The casual fans will always go to what they know, and what they know is the WWE and their logo, just because of sample size with AEW is not enough for them to be thinking of them first, unless, again, you're kind of going into that hardcore scene where those guys tend to know more about the in-depth stuff. Those are the guys that are going to introduce you to MLW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, all these different like Defy, Progress,
GCW.
I'm trying to like all the female companies, like all of that stuff, like whether it's Glow and stuff like but all that, and because of that, AEW is going to be at the top of the list because of they're the ones with the big TV deal. They're the ones with millions of dollars behind them. Oh, also, by the way, if you're a casual football fan, the guy that owns the Jaguars, his family owns AEW. And they're like,
this team sucks. They just fired their coach.
Sure, but not that. But that's also back into that conversation though. Is the casual fans just knows what's relevant. It's like when you are new to Twitter, the first thing you do is what's trending. If you want to figure things out, you're not really going to know what you're looking for, because when you look for stuff, that's when you're going to discover AEW. But then when you're just looking at what's trending, it's always going to be, the WWE first and foremost.
Well, I just know the Cons are hated in England because they own one of the soccer teams there. I just know they're hated there.
Why don't you look at the Red Sox owner?
LeBron James,
United.
And then you got the owner of the Lakers who's doing wow, and what a train wreck.
England doesn't like when Americans own their football teams or soccer teams. They hate them. They hate that.
Well, you know what? They keep taking all our superhero roles, so they got to get something. What's that? The Face Forum throwback. You look confused
New
by what I mean.
superhero. Oh, dude.
Okay,
it's-
hold on. Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Doctor Strange, he's a Brit. Tom Holland, who plays
Henry Cavill, Superman.
who plays Spider-Man, is a Brit. Henry Cavill, who is
Was the worst Spider-Man? Yeah, I agree.
Andrew
You
Garfield-
have such a big ego when it comes
Andrew
to
Garfield
not
is a Brit
things that don't matter.
Hey, Robert Downey Jr. is American. Robert Downey Jr. is American and played Sherlock Holmes.
I had a point I was gonna make.
Also, Iron Man. If we're going back to the superhero stuff,
he's American.
Yeah, but he did play Sherlock Holmes. Robert Downey Jr. played Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, yes, you're right. So did
we all know that the best guy that
Ferrell.
plays any villain is Ryan
Will
Reynolds,
Ferrell.
and he's Canadian. Hands up, yeah.
So did Will Ferrell and
Braun Strowman.
What's his
Fuck Braun Strowman.
He was in that movie with Will Ferrell. Wasn't he in that Sherlock Holmes movie? Will
I
Ferrell,
have to hear enough about Braun Strowman from Pluggo. I don't want to hear any more about it.
Oh my
He
god.
wasn't in a movie.
He was.
He just did a skit for the sole point of him being stupidly hilarious.
Pluggo with oh gosh. Or what he's now called Titan.
Titan, yes.
Which is a shot at WWE for Titan Towers.
Yeah.
But I think for anything, for branding
Wanna
and
get
stuff.
these hands?
Oh god.
No Pluggo stop. Pluggo stop.
You can get your hands on a new phone.
You know he sells. You know
I love you guys. This is a great Christmas Eve.
You know could do a parody of Braun Strowman. You know that this Canadian comedian Trevor Wilson from Kenya later. You know Trevor Wilson, Canadian yeah. He could do a parody of Braun Strowman because he could talk like Braun Strowman and he could look like Braun Strowman.
I think because we're doing superheroes now, I think probably the best actor that you could say that was a superhero is the late great Christopher Reeves, hands down.
What about Adam West as Batman?
He's
Adam
one of
West.
them.
Adam West is Batman.
I could not definitively put him as number one because there's been a lot of really good ones. But
we can all agree Brandon
He's the
Routh
best
is not good.
Superman, that's for sure.
But he's definitely in the top five. I'll say that he's definitely.
I'll still put Ryan Reynolds up there. Like that guy, cat. Like,
I mean, Deadpool.
Is he a superhero
Oh,
or an
right, no, sorry.
anti-hero?
You mean Green Lantern? That's what you're.
Oh no!
I mean, the Green Lantern movie was still better than a lot of the Superman movies.
This is true.
Yeah, that's sad but true.
As a huge Green Lantern fan, I thought the movie was, It was all right.
Parallax.
I had issues. I mean, Parallax. It's one of the things that's like,
All have
okay,
issues.
well, if this is what you're going to have Parallax be, I don't know how you're going to do some of the other stuff. They can change things how they want. It just means there's some.
I'm just glad Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool killed. I'm just glad in Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool killed Ryan Reynolds about to sign the contract to star in Green Lantern.
Here's the thing, though. That movie was good for him in one big way.
He got his wife.
Bingo. He got his wife. He got his wife and the mother of his children. So
He did ScarJo and Blake Lively.
Yeah.
Like,
so at the end of the day, he's probably so glad he.
Don't you guys forget one thing is that he was married to Alanis Morissette.
Mm-hmm.
yes, he was.
Also Canadian.
Really?
Also Canadian.
Yeah.
Really? I
And
didn't know
she
that.
played God. So, just so you know, she.
My favorite
And
movie of all
she
time.
killed Batman.
Dogma, yeah.
I'll tell you what, Blake
She
Lively.
killed Ben Affleck, so she killed Batman.
She's
And
underrated.
isn't it ironic?
Don't you think?
Now you guys see what I have to put up with this stuff all the time.
See, I'll
I'm
tell you
not
what,
on a lot of streams anymore, Ed. Calm down.
Blake Lively is very underrated as an actress because most
Yes,
people
she
just
is.
think of her as Gossip Girl. She did a movie a few years ago called The Shallows.
Yeah.
That's a good movie, and she's really good in it. She plays this girl who she goes surfing, and she ends up getting attacked by a shark, and she's in like this shallow area of water, and she has to stay on like these buoys and stuff and basically make her way back to shore while the shark is still there and know that she's really good in that.
Did you guys forget she was in a classic comedy movie too?
Oh
And
yes,
everybody seems to get.
I know.
What was
With
she
Justin
in?
Long, the college movie. What's it called? With Justin Long when he makes a
Ask me
fake.
about my wiener.
Oh yeah, Accepted. Yeah, when remember the fake University by Justin Long made the fake. You haven't seen that with Jonah Hill?
No.
And
I'm not a
just
Jonah Hill.
for that, thank you. I know he has production credit, but still. Hey, if I didn't see a movie, you wouldn't see, you know. But we're gonna continue a little bit. Ed's got to go in a couple of minutes or so. So Ed, you can do your plugs if you want, real quick. I know Spencer's running around trying to save the logo and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure everything's burning over there. So you can follow me here at edfries12584 on Twitter, and you can follow me as the co-host of Between Two Beards with Cody and Astrid, as we review NXT 2.0 every week, every Tuesday night after Power Hour.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't mind.
I'm sorry.
Why? It's the best show of the week.
I wouldn't mind.
The only show I'd want. I was gonna say it's the only show I want to do every week. I would never review Dynamite anymore. I had to do that for 2 weeks. It was the worst thing I've ever done.
I
But
wouldn't
it's
mind
all about the boom.
The worst thing you've ever done.
Yeah,
Watching quality wrestling, the worst thing you've ever done.
I wouldn't mind
wrestling. I
hopping
watched
in.
Dynamite. We want to get you on at some point.
Yeah, and have some fun and go crazy and stuff.
We'll talk. We'll talk. We have a couple spots to fill over the next couple months. So
yeah, I'm always
We'll
around.
let
Especially since you and me got to hang out and get a coffee eventually because we're literally like a few towns away.
10 minutes.
Oh yeah, literally. Not even like there literally is a Starbucks with the new drive-through literally down the street from each other.
Yep. But all right, guys. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy long weekend if you don't celebrate. Have a great time, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Much love, my friend.
Merry Christmas.
Take care,
Merry
Ed.
Christmas, Ed.
All right, guys. Bye.
I wanted to say this before Ed left, but
Last one.
I was gonna say, do you think AJ, since he's now in NXT going against Grayson, is going to end up turning around and going after that title, at least if he has the opportunity to?
I don't think he stays in NXT. I think he's there
not.
just to help out the young guys. Grayson Waller's. I actually think he's a very strong candidate to win the Royal Rumble. I really believe that they want to just kickstart the him and Omos thing to be done before the Royal Rumble WrestleMania start.
See, that's why people are thinking that Omos might win the Rumble, and I go,
I don't think Omos is good
ready.
enough to carry a feud yet,
God.
but I do think like Omos is. He doesn't need AJ Styles to be relevant anymore on TV. I also, when he grabbed the microphone on Monday Night Raw, I question whether or not they should ever give him the microphone ever
on the
again.
mic either.
But I think AJ Styles. We also got to look at AJ Styles on his run, and just like his age and how much time he has left. I think he's going to get one meaningful big run before he's done, and I think you do it now, opposed to when maybe you do it when he's healthy. You do it now that he's good. But I think he's there to do a favor to NXT because I almost guarantee that NXT 2.0 got a huge spike in the ratings when AJ Styles was there. And I think Grayson Waller took a lot. I think Grayson Waller got a lot out of working with AJ Styles. And I really wish WWE would do this more. If they're not necessarily having a spot for some of the guys on their main roster, bring them down to NXT for a little bit and do it. Yeah. We saw how much Finn Balor added to NXT back then. And then we also seen like Randy Orton, John Cena. We saw CM Punk against Seth Rollins at one point. I think WWE needs to do more of that, to be honest.
I agree. I think what a possibility could happen is that if they're going to put the belt on Grayson and if they want to do this right, they do long-term story with this, have them interact through social media stuff. AJ comes down, barks at him, stuff like that. Let's say Grayson wins the title against, Tommaso, for example, right? AJ wins it. There's your night one WrestleMania match, but it's the NXT's main event representative for WrestleMania for night one. And as much as it doesn't seem like it's a big deal and AJ wins that title, it makes a big deal because NXT 2.0 is suffering a little bit, but like you said, it'll bring a bump of more eyes because AJ's there, even if it's, let's say, for about 3 or 4 months, just for a short-term time. And then all of a sudden they turn around and they give it to like Braun Breaker or someone else, or even give it to Dexter Lumis, man, because the guy is so good. And just be able to like let
Dexter
these guys
Lumis
go,
is
but
character.
give
the problem. The problem
but give him
with
that
AJ
shine on that.
Styles. The problem with AJ Styles being in NXT 2.0. Well, number one, I just want to say Grayson Waller sucks, so it doesn't matter what the hell they do with Grayson Waller.
Yeah,
he's terrible. But the problem with him, with
Tommy.
Styles being on 2.0 right now, is that it goes against everything that NXT 2.0 is supposed to be right now. They got rid of all of what NXT used to be because they're trying to be this new thing. Now to have one of the oldest guys on the roster be featured in a main program on 2.0 is a little strange. And it's obvious that it's because the ratings suck.
Yeah.
I will say, yeah, like you're right in the sense that what I like about NXT 2.0, it's a clear understanding that WWE wants to upstart their developmental process, and it's like the minor league company now. Like I think like anybody who's a hockey fan will understand it's an AHL to the WWE's NHL, or it's like the AAA to the MLB. Like if so, but like with that being said, like if you still have the Tommaso Ciampas, you still have the Pete Dunnes in NXT 2.0. I don't think it takes away with what they're trying to do. In fact, I think it really just shows you how important Johnny Gargano's timing of his contract coming out was, because I think he was definitely slated to be the guy to work with Grayson Waller at the time, to the point where now you can honestly admit that they didn't really have nothing really set in stone for AJ Styles right now, that it makes him a very good candidate to help a guy out like Grayson Waller. And again, we talked earlier about recognition. We all know AJ Styles, and if we really like him, we're going to follow him. Oh.
He's not talking about primetime TV. He's talking about like how there's veterans in the veteran. He's talking about how there's former veterans, like in baseball. AAA will have former MLB players on it.
I'm just saying it's more or less of like it's the step right below.
Yeah.
That so
you need veterans. You need veterans. Like
the difference between this is it is talent sharing within your own company.
Yeah.
Let's not forget though that like the reason why the previous NXT, why it didn't work for like main roster stuff, is because you'd have guys come up to main roster, instead of just having them do what they had done and had gotten overdoing. Vince decided we need to change them up. We need them to be something different. I mean, you look at the War Raiders and how awesome and dominant they were in NXT, and then they come up and they're the Viking Experience, and then they get their name changed to the Viking Raiders. And what do they end up doing last year? They did the whole stupid competition thing with the Street Profits that nobody liked.
Everything you can do, I can do better. Kind of
they made the Viking Raiders mid-90s gimmick. That's what they did to them.
They had Karrion Kross come up, the NXT champion, and what did they do? They took away his entire like sense of like coolness factor. They took away his girl,
his fiance,
his smoke, the whole entrance. He just comes out with the NXT title, and this guy who Triple H spent several months building, got him to win the championship, had to vacate it because he got injured, came back, continued dominating, won the title again. This guy that nobody, he was the unstoppable monster in NXT. He comes up to main roster, he goes to Raw, he gets jobbed out to Jeff Hardy in under 2 minutes. And no disrespect to Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy the previous week was struggling against Veer or Shanky on main event, but that is who they had Karrion Kross, the NXT champion, with the championship job out to. Compare that to when Kevin Owens had the NXT championship, and he came up, and what did he do? He did a pop-up power bomb on John Cena. He stomped on the U.S. championship, raised the NXT championship up as if saying, this is a championship worth having. Then he goes on pay-per-view and he beats John Cena clean as a sheet. It all depended on how they were presented on the main roster. The failure of the Black and Gold NXT to develop main roster stars is not their failure. It's the failure of the main roster to actually use what was given to them. So in that respect, 2.0 probably is better set up because their characters and gimmicks and stuff that Vince is going to be more likely to like and to use. But the fault of Black and Gold NXT is it's no fault of their own why so many of their people have gotten washed up and jobbed out and made to look like complete geeks.
I think the whole thing too is we go back to like the Triple H versus Vince McMahon comparison. I think too, like to a whole, Vince McMahon obviously was aware of what they were doing during the Black and Gold NXT, but he wasn't watching it with as much eyesight, and like it wasn't something he was casually watching that much because he trusted Triple H, and it showed the different visions that the two had, because Triple H had a lot more freedom to do whatever he wanted with NXT. And you see kind of why NXT UK kind of has this clean slate of just doing whatever they want. And because of that Heritage Cup thing has become, I think, one of the coolest things that we don't talk about in pro wrestling, in the sense of how they created this whole different type of wrestling match. But I also think, too, like what we saw with that, like, when Adam Cole had that one promo with Karrion Kross saying, you know, they gave everything to you. They gave you the cool music. They gave you the cool song. They gave you the girl. You know what they do to make me look cool? They ring the freaking bell. And I think that was kind of the thing, too, is when Vince McMahon sees a talent from NXT that he's not casually watching, he's not sure what he has yet because of that thing. And we can't blame Vince McMahon because he runs a freaking business that if you're in that same scenario, if you're up at the same amount of times as he is, making sure the company's running, you're probably going to not focus on every little aspect. Like he doesn't, or he didn't. So I don't fault him for that. I fault the communication for not saying, hey, look, we got this guy, and if you present him this way, he could be a star. Vince McMahon wanted to see what he had, minus all the bells and whistles. And if he knew that he was worth something, he's probably going to give it all back. But here's the problem. There's also a disconnect with Karrion Kross and how he was presented on the main roster. Yes, it was part of creative, but it was also part of him too.
That's also the other thing too, is that once it was clear that they were never going to beat AEW in the ratings, that's when Vince McMahon was like, oh, I got to really pay attention to this now and make sure that I have my eyes on it and my control. But the problem also now is that that's not even working because they're, you know, their demo is, you know, old folks home and their ratings suck. So it's just what is the balance here? How do you fix this?
Easy. You just freaking let other people help with the development and actually utilize the talent more efficiently.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Vince is
side
not,
by
is
side
not
with
the person to like not micromanage things.
Well, the solution is if you want more. If you want more ratings to the NXT 2.0 product, then you look within and you're like, okay, AJ Styles, can you come down and help out the ratings and work with these guys? Because the fans who are watching NXT Black and Gold now that are watching 2.0 are saying, you know what? This is definitely a different product. This isn't a product I like. Therefore, they will go and find something else. But for the ones that are watching and they want to see something a little bit more, what do we like? What can you guys give us that's cool? like seeing the AJ Styles in the NXT realm is kind of cool. I would love to see Mustafa Ali come down since they have zero things to do with him. I would love to see him and Carmelo Hayes. Hell, I'd like to see AJ Styles and Carmelo Hayes over Grayson Waller, to be quite honest. But with that being said, I would like to see WWE go away with the simple aspect of things. Like, the reason why I didn't like the AJ Styles on NXT 2.0, even though I watched it because I wanted to see AJ Styles in NXT, is it was last minute, and there's absolutely no reason to why, as a fan, I would think that was a valid reason for AJ Styles to go down. If anything, I'd like to see AJ Styles go down and go against Tommaso Ciampa, call out the champion, because that's the AJ Styles that I kind of get on Monday Night Raw. I see the guy that really thinks he's one of the most, he's the most phenomenal athlete in all of pro wrestling, right? But to me, they don't use their platforms for the long-term storytelling enough, and I think that's where they have to go back to. Don't go back to the whole, we got name recognition. Go back to the detailed storytelling, and their product will vastly enhance, in my opinion.
Welcome, Rob, by the way.
Yep.
Hi,
Hi, Rob. Bye, Rob.
Hey, guys.
I got a jet.
See you, buddy.
So, Rob, what did you think about AJ Styles on NXT?
Oh, pretty much anytime AJ Styles is on my TV, I'm happy. The fact that WWE doesn't use them the way they should has pissed me off for the past 3 years, probably, I'd say. You get somebody that good on your screen. I understand you don't want them to always be in the title picture. I get that. And what he did with Omos was good, but you can't make him look. I think they're moving him to NXT so he doesn't look. I wouldn't say moving him to NXT. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I like that they put him there. I think the more cameras that are focused on AJ Styles, the better. He could be like their most popular guy if they wanted him to. But that's the thing. Like, is it Parrish? I'm sorry. It's pretty much what you said. I agreed with everything I heard, and the fact that there's so many people that they seem to recycle through, and it just doesn't work. I mean, I read today that somebody was thinking we'll see Roman versus Drew McIntyre at Rumble, and I'm like, we just got Drew out of the title picture on Raw, and I like Drew McIntyre, but he doesn't need to be there right away. Because if they put Drew McIntyre in this, that's going to go through March, and then whoever is facing Roman will take over in March at Mania. And ideally, like, I thought AJ Styles would have been a perfect person to go to SmackDown, and I hope he still goes to SmackDown like sometime soon. But I don't know how they're going to do it. I know I want more AJ Styles on my TV. That's really all I can say.
I'd love to see WWE actually execute these trades like they meant something. Like when you have breaking news, we got a trade. Like Raw trades AJ Styles to SmackDown for whatever. That would be really cool. Whether or not it happens, I don't know. But like these are the things that I think make these brand splits look legit. Is if you actually treat it like it's a separate thing. But the one thing too, like I think AJ Styles is in that point of his career where he probably, and from what I understood, it was partially him that says, look, I want to work with newer talent too, because I think the fact that he got to work Undertaker really humbled him even more than what he actually is, to the point of understanding that you got to give back to the next generation. And AJ Styles might be one of the most selfless workers in all of pro wrestling. Because the only other guy I think would have been amazing to do that is I would ask Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio to go down and help out the tag division in NXT 2.0. And who wouldn't want to see grizzled young veterans against Dominic and Rey Mysterio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, for me, I think AJ being there is the best thing overall. I think that with, Ciampa being there, and eventually, if they decide to do something like crazy and give AJ a run, just to give it to somebody else, just to boost them up and just be like, you beat a phenomenal Hall of Famer. It would be interesting as a storyline. The other thing is that you hit it home, Parrish, that the whole Taker Boneyard match was phenomenal in itself, but the documentary shows like how great of a person, how humble he is, that what he did for Mark Calloway was amazing, and it's amazing. It's just his character.
I think too, like a lot, like with that being said, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, how does Undertaker not lose his last match?" And it's because AJ Styles didn't want to beat him.
No,
and that was like the thing. Like there's so much respect there, and that's why I think like when you compare Undertaker to the Godfather of pro wrestling, it's really true. But when it comes to AJ Styles, I just look at a guy that beats to his own drum in a way of what he believes is right, and because he knows how to spin it in a way that helps the company. This is also another thing I think we got to look at, and I've seen this in the backstage a lot of times, is sometimes a promoter or whoever will look at a talent and be like, I know I have something there, I just don't know how to get it out of them. And I think Grayson Waller fits in that category, that you have something there, but they just need to get the right guy to get it out of them moving forward. And I think that's kind of the test. And I compare this with Jushin Thunder Liger versus Tyler Breeze.
Damn.
Because I believe that the fact, and they knew, because like, does anybody else think it was very odd that they brought in a legend like Jushin Thunder Liger and they put him not with the top draw in NXT, but Tyler Breeze? Because I thought it was weird when I saw it. I thought it was cool when I saw it. But with that being said, anybody find it very oddly that AJ Styles came to NXT and targeted Grayson Waller, not a Carmelo Hayes, not a Tommaso Ciampa, not a Braun Breaker, not one of those guys that's perceived to be a little bit bigger,
Well,
maybe a Pete Dunne.
Remember that's because they had Grayson Waller shoot that awful video on the beach calling out AJ Styles. So,
I know, but that was designed for a reason, though, too, right?
Yeah,
it's very similar to Darby Allin saying that he was the best in the world, targeting a future CM Punk appearance in our AW. But I think this is an attempt to get the potential that they feel they see in Grayson Waller out. They feel like they're, and I do think that if they don't get this out of Grayson Waller by giving him these opportunities, and you look at the main roster, don't tell me that they're not doing the same thing with Austin Theory right now with Vince McMahon. That's a gigantic rub.
Yeah.
So if they don't actually come to fruition with these opportunities, those guys will be released, and people would be like, why are they doing it? It's because they failed on their opportunities that they got.
I'm gonna go out on a limb real quick, and then Aaron, you can pick it up from what you're gonna say. Would you consider this whole scenario with AJ and Grayson something to, and I'm gonna throw this back even further in history, to Jake the Snake and Austin? Even though we already knew what Austin was in WCW, ECW, but I'm talking just for the mainstay WWE person. You think that match at King of the Ring for that in the final,
the promo
almost kind of like that? Yeah, but I'm saying just like
the promo after,
just
I think
for,
it.
Yeah,
I think
but I'm saying the match, just to set up for the match and stuff like that, the way it is that Jake lost. And it put more focus on Austin, and that promo even made more. But I'm saying just if you connect the dots in general.
I think it's a promo because Jake the Snake Roberts did, he's a religious guy, did say something about 316, like something 316. And Austin, remember, Austin was at the hospital and he came back, and you heard about Jake Snake, what he said in his promo before the match. And Austin, when he did his promo, basically said, well, you see your Psalm, something like Austin 316 says, I just whooped your ass. I think it was a promo that Austin cut. It's kind of similar to this.
Yeah, but like, to touch on that, like if it wasn't Jake the Snake, the promo is going to be altered because of that reason, right? Like I think Jake the Snake was designed to be the guy because name recognition, also they probably looked at Steve Austin as kind of the next Jake at the time, and they're like, we got to pass the torch. It's really very similar to how now we know that Undertaker would have rather have lost to Roman Reigns than Brock Lesnar, because he wanted to pass the torch. But I think Throwback, you kind of hit the nail on it. Like when they see the guy or the next guy, you got to make sure you put the right pieces in play to get him there. And I think that's something that in today's day and age is very much harder to do than it was then, because it's just not as set in stone.
I mean, look at what they did with Cena. They put Cena with Angle and just everything connected on there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would you think Rob and Drew would be like in that scenario? If you see any matches coming down the pike, or in AEW or WWE, or let's even throw Impact in there. We haven't talked much about Impact as much.
Yeah.
You know, do you see any of that situation like AJ and Grayson, or just something like where along the lines that could be a possibility?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think what they're trying to do with Grayson is just to make him shine more. Like when you bring in AJ Styles, the guy that everybody likes, and you have this guy attacking him verbally, that's going to bring more heat to Grayson, and that's what they want.
I think what we talked about. Oh, sorry, Rob. Go ahead, finish.
No, I was just going to say I don't put it on that. I don't put it on that King of the Ring, Stone Cold, Jake Roberts pedestal. Like, I don't think it's nothing major happened to get there. So it'll be. I think they're going the way to just kind of get Grayson some heat. I think AJ wanted to work. AJ did the WWE a big favor by working with almost as long as he did. And if this was something he wanted to do, if he wanted to work in NXT, I know he's been on the record saying he's wanted to work in NXT for a while. Not like maybe not the whole time, but I know he wanted to wrestle some people there. And the fact that he didn't get to wrestle some of like the Johnny Gargano or Adam Cole and stuff like that. Maybe they're just way saying, okay, we're going to get you some matches. Who knows? I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, right now he wrestles once a week. He hasn't even been doing house shows for the most part. So maybe this is just something he wants to do for a while. I don't know. I just know that if they're trying to get heat for Grayson Waller, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that as much as I don't like him at all. But I definitely do agree that, putting my bias of that aside, getting AJ Styles on the show, maybe I don't know if I think AJ Styles is the right person, but I don't know if AJ Styles was the right thing to do right now. Only because of what it's literally like I don't remember if it was Spencer or you, Parrish, who said that it seems like this is just really rushed right now because he literally just got turned back babyface a few days, the day prior. So they're mentioning Grayson mentioning Omos like it happened a month ago. It was just the night before. So.
My thing is you still don't know if AJ's really a babyface on Raw, because that was such a rush segment that I don't know if this is like when we saw Alex Riley break away from The Miz, it was clear cut. But when Omos did it with AJ, it's more like we don't know who we think is a good guy kind of thing. But people just attach to AJ because it's AJ Styles. Again, going back to kind of throw it back together, it's name continuity, right? So when something's that confusing, they go to what they know. AJ Styles is that. We will all, on a first impression, will say good things about AJ Styles. And I think when he's going to a more neutral place like NXT 2.0, he's going to get that reaction. When you see the lights go down and you hear that ding, and then that the kind of thing, you're up. The pop that he got was absolutely amazing. And because of that, Grayson Waller, if he didn't deliver on the next promo when he grabbed the mic and put it to his mouth, that he was sinking and he wasn't swimming. but he actually cut a really good promo.
This is all about Grayson Waller, about having AJ there to help make Grayson Waller the number one heel in NXT. That's the reason for it. They want Grayson Waller to be the number one heel. I wouldn't be surprised if his next challenger for the NXT title, whether it's Ciampa or Braun Breaker as a champion. Yeah, that's the reason they're doing it. Like, as you can see, the three guys are focusing on is Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, and Carmelo Hayes. Tony D'Angelo a bit, but I don't see him as the championship material. Tony D'Angelo, I see more of Carmelo, Grayson, and Braun Breaker's NXT championship material. And I think Grayson Waller is the one they want to build up to be the number one heel in NXT. Otherwise, they wouldn't have him do that to Johnny Gargano, and wouldn't have AJ Styles appear on NXT.
That's a really good shout out, Aaron, about the Gargano thing, because there's definitely a specific reason why they got him to be that guy. It's for the heat. The one thing I think NXT's – go ahead, Drew.
I feel bad for Von Wagner in this case.
Von Wagner's
See, I think, too, the one guy that we're not talking about who I think is a legit could be a number one heel in that company is Joe Gacy. And I think that guy's doing a lot of great work right now. And –
where's
man, like
now?
But like I think Carmelo Hayes could, like, I think it's very simple. Like, I don't know if you guys remember Tony Khan saying, like, we had our first 4 world champions set out already. Like, I think it's a for sure thing. They want Braun Breaker to beat Tommaso Ciampa for that title, which I'm going to say, if you're going to redesign that whole brand, you got to redesign those titles. And that's what I think we're going to get out of the Cruiserweight North American unification match. But I think then they're like, okay, well, who's going to be the guy that takes it away from Braun Breaker? I think they really want that guy to be Grayson Waller. But if he fails, it's probably going to be Carmelo Hayes, and that's why they haven't done anything with him yet. But I think the money match is turning Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams back to babyface and having going against Joe Gacy and Heartland, to be quite honest. Because if you're talking about things that are different, I mean, the fact that they're 2 African Americans, they can really go into that form very well, and I think that's a touchy subject that fits the Joe Gacy character.
Good point.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
we know that Vince McMahon likes to go there. So,
oh God, it says the person who is thirsty for Hook.
Hey, I will say this: in the last couple of years, though, I say WWE has done a very great job of identifying black athletes and making them look very well, because we all know that it doesn't matter what color you are. And we all know WWE has an amazing abundance of black professional wrestlers. Hell, R-Truth, I think, was better designed to be in the Kofi role than Kofi, if you ask my personal opinion. But the fact that you have those options shows a lot of positivity in how many amazing black wrestlers that they have. But with it being Kofi, whether it's been Big E, I thought Apollo Crews looked like $1 million in the last year, just in terms of his growth and
Bobby Lashley.
But I think WWE has done Bobby Lashley as well. But I think and Xavier Woods now is king.
Bianca Belair, man.
Yeah. I just think WWE in the last few years have done a really good job of exemplifying.
It used to be one of the biggest
black
complaints.
And and I think even night 1 of WrestleMania being Sasha and Bianca.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big thing, a very historic thing. I think WWE deserves a lot of credit with how they play that, those kind of cards when it comes down to it, because they do a really good job of it.
I mean, for me, I'm just happy to see these people getting an opportunity, because once you get one, you get another, and that's the way it should be. These guys work as hard, and that's why I was talking about that whole title thing. I've been propped, because if you work hard enough, you'll get rewarded.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like it's a matter of whether in this case it's breaking down the barriers, but when it comes to a championship title, you want your babyface to get the most amount of sympathy when he wins it or she wins it. With the heel, you want the most amount of heat with it. And that's why, like, in the sense of Grayson Waller, if he's to become NXT champion and everyone despises him, I mean, imagine if Saddam Hussein, or not Saddam Hussein, but who's the Muhammad Hassan? If he was to stay and win the world title from The Undertaker, my Lord, would he be the number 1 heel in all of pro wrestling?
Well, Rob's got to head out, and we're gonna wrap it up anyways. But
yeah, my phone's about to die. So.
All right, boys. Have a good night.
I wanted to say Merry Christmas to you guys. We'll get back at it next week after the holidays and stuff. I wanted to thank all of you who watch daily, watch this stuff. Have a good, safe Christmas. Be with your families. Be safe. And here at Wicked Crazy Pitfalls. And also save for Parrish, too, if he's okay with it. And Love Wrestling. Just have a good day. So we'll end it at that point. Good dude. Do a good deed. Pay it forward. You guys kick your plugs in and let's go home. Go ahead, Parrish.
You first.
Well, thank you. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on. I know you're always going to say it's an open forum, but still, no matter what, I appreciate it nonetheless. If you guys want to follow me on Chris Parrish, whether it's at Twitter at Chris Parrish, on Instagram at Chris.Parrish, or you want to come on, the Twitch, I Love Wrestling CA, and all that beautiful things, please do it. I think we're all in it for the great cause of just wanting to love pro wrestling in our own ways and just, have fun doing so. So please go out and do that. But of course, like you said, this is the time to be joyful and very happy. Stay safe, be with your family at a safe way. Everyone, let's just enjoy what we have right now, because like we know, it can be taken away with or without our knowledge.
All right, Drew, do you think, man?
You can follow me at Big Money Drew on Twitter. And I'm manifesting self-love for 2022. So do the best thing for yourself possible. Make sure that 2022 is the best year of your life. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and I gotta say, it was nice having that on my waist again. Having this on my shoulder.
Boy.
I don't know. I don't want to bring back my asshole character, but felt kind of nice.
But I just want to say this too before Aaron gets in and stuff like that. It's great to have good people around when you're also down, and this time of year too, mental health is important. Mm-hmm. So just remember, we're always around to talk, even if it's just I'm at work or Drew's helped me out a little bit. Aaron has, Parrish has. Everybody is there to help. So, Aaron, do your thing, man.
So you can find me on my YouTube channel at Aaron War Order AWO. That's also my Twitter handle. And tomorrow, I'm doing an afternoon stream around 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's not a wrestling stream. It's a comic book stream. It's about the push, the call for Amazing Spider-Man 3. Should it happen? Do the fans want it? Do I want it? Do whoever? Do you think they should make Amazing Spider-Man 3 based on success of Spider-Man No Way Home?
Well, as I always say it at every show, do a good deed, pay it forward. Hopefully one day me and Parrish can sit down on here and just shoot the shit, just have fun and stuff.
When I can, we will.
Yeah, hopefully I can get on you guys' side on a Sunday when I'm off or something like that. But
we can talk.
Yeah. Other than that, just have a good Christmas. Just remember the people that are not here and remember the people that are. And that's why I say it every time. Do a good deed, pay it forward. If you're on Twitch, we're gonna raid actually Love Wrestling Between Two Beards and just go have fun.
Give them hell. Please.
Tell
them to eat them one. That'd be funny.
Troll them.
Yeah.